Hi, my name is Jay Shilas, and this is my informative presentation on the history and evolution of video games. Entertainment has been something that people have craved for since survival was not such a demanding task. One of the newest and most popular forms that began with the advent of computers is video games. In this presentation, I will delve into the history and evolution of this prominent and growing pastime. The first video game, Pong, or Tennis for Two, was created on the oscilloscope by Christopher Starchy with a CRT display. 1950s with other games like Space War, developed by Steve Russell. Development. One of the biggest parts of the developments with early games and technology in general was with the creation of AI, or artificial intelligence. This was needed for games because without it, you wouldn't really have much of a game. Only a platform for two humans, but with the development of AI, you could play these somewhat primitive games with the computer itself. Well, AI at this time was made mainly for entertainment or to show off to the public of what technology was now capable of. This lended well with the dawn of video games. And the first markets. For the most part, video games were a novelty for programmers and were only seen by those who owned a computer. But with the creation of the arcade machines, video games were now fully open to the public, and their popularity began to skyrocket. And this leads us into the Golden Ages. The Golden Age mainly refers to the rapid growth of video games in the 1970s. This growth can be contributed to the rise of arcades and arcade machines. They found popularity with teens and young adults and became hangout spots, and became very lucrative as new and better games and machines were released by various developers and from their countries, like the United States and Japan. At this time, home consoles became a reality, but they were expensive at first, were mostly out of reach for your average consumer. With microchips becoming less expensive, home consoles began to take hold of the video game market, making large profits. While arcades remained popular, their revenue would slowly dwindle as consoles became more powerful and the quality of games increased. Next would be the Great Video Game Crash. As video games became increasingly popular, companies like Atari began mass producing games with increasingly low quality. And this led to a massive drop in sales, leading to a crash in the video game industry, causing the value of the industry to drop by billions of dollars by 1985. Leading to the console wars. After the crash, home consoles had to crawl their way back to the hearts of consumers. No company did this better than Nintendo, with their Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES. It sold nearly 62 million consoles globally. This led to other companies once again trying to compete with one another for this resurging market, like Sega, and eventually companies like Sony and Microsoft. This led to competition from other companies, leading them to try to outdo each other with better consoles and hardware, as well as exclusive games that could only be played on certain consoles. This became known as the console wars, and led to many companies to stop producing their own because they can no longer compete with the other companies in the market. This leads me into the modern gaming. To show what modern video games started to become, I would like to read a scenario that redefined what video games became in the minds of many. Standing outside the local GameStop at 11:50 p.m., you've been waiting here since 8 at night. You thought that would be early enough to be one of the first in line, but the line stretched down the sidewalk with tents and dozens of people. You count down the clock till midnight, pacing in your spot in line. At long last, the doors finally open, and you head inside to get one of the first copies of the highest grossing and one of the highest rated media releases in history at that time. This game was Halo 2. This, in the hearts of many, was what video games became, a sensation that took over media and entertainment in a massive way. This leads me to part of modern gaming of gambling. Gambling has become a very controversial discussion in modern gaming, as children have easy access to them. The term loot boxes have become synonymous with this issue and have even made its all the way up to politicians, as some believe that it violates gambling laws, as they are designed as addicting as possible to maximize profits. This way of development has had massive backlash and is seeing decline in today's industry. I'd like to talk about what's next and with indie development. With the growth of technology, many people have tried their hands at video game design and have created some masterpieces that even large professional studios cannot have made. These are called indie games, or as they're also known as independent developers. They are a crucial part of modern gaming industry and can be someone's first experience of the art form of video games. Speaking of an art form, there's been a large debate whether or not video games are an art form. I'm of the opinion that they are. What has been created with technology from the dawn of video games to today has led to some beautiful games and stories. As technology improves, we have seen the dawn of new tech that some could even call space age. VR and modern consoles have become so advanced that the realism displayed has astonished many. As technology improves, in the future, we maybe see a way to dive into these virtual worlds ourselves and experience games as if we were actually there. In conclusion, video games are a popular pastime for millions of people and have had a profound effect on our world, both curing boredom and being an amazing